Seems like we're probably going to go a decade between major Elder Scrolls releases, between 5 and 6.
I think everyone should be very patient.
And that's like...
Recently, in a casual yet ultimately crushing confirmation, Pete Hines, Senior Vice President of Marketing at Bethesda, surprisingly responded to a random tweet he no doubt gets every day about the state of the Elder Scrolls 6 release, which was, "Alright, check it out. Let's cut the ish. When can we expect some info on the Elder Scrolls 6? We need clap this clap." And although this random hero was correct, we do need something more than the paltry teaser we received in 2018 for the Elder Scrolls 6. Uncle Pete then dropped a megaton of a bomb by stating, "It's after Starfield, which you pretty much know nothing about. So, if you're coming at me for details now and not years from now, I'm failing to properly manage your expectations." The response itself was jarring, not just at the fact he answered a random person, but with a rather blasé response regarding a timeline on Bethesda's flagship series. So after letting it sit, I was compelled to do some digging to find out why this would be the case, as it makes no sense to me personally why they would put the Elder Scrolls on the back burner. And it seems other fans who are just as baffled as myself why they're shelving the beloved series for a risky business venture such as a brand new IP when they have several home runs sitting in their back pocket. And for context, as many of you know regarding the Elder Scrolls launches specifically, Morrowind dropped May 1st, 2002. Oblivion was then 4 years later on March 20, 2006. And finally, Skyrim, excluding its various editions, was the tidy 11-11-11. With all a predictable and neat 4 to 5 year development cycle like clockwork, fans have now waited over 9 full years and aren't even given a whiff of a release date. Just a random flyover of some unknown landmass that they won't even confirm or deny its location to supposedly tie ravenous fans over. Even if they chose 2/22/2022, that would somewhat make sense with their neat numbering, but instead we have nothing. Which then begs the question, why Starfield? Todd Howard, director of Bethesda Games, actually told IGN in 2019 that Starfield was a game that he's wanted to make for a very, very long time.
Are you going to tell me about the tone at all?
No.
No.
Well, with the teaser we put out, teases the tone. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
When are we going to see more of it? Next E3?
Everyone should be very patient.
And he said, quote, "We had done so many things. We were going Elder Scrolls Fallout, Elder Scrolls Fallout. You know, all the stuff that the fans like. I'm sorry, I had to add that in." But then he said, and then you have this Starfield game in your head and you'll sort of say, when? It can be never. You could say never, but we're creative and we have to make this game and this is the time. Which, personally, I think is fine as long as you don't shift resources away from the two beloved IPs, as he obviously wanted to broaden his repertoire, but unfortunately it comes at the cost of the Elder Scrolls. And then he went on to say something which is a bit darker for single-player fans. And so the Elder Scrolls 6 is going to have to wait a little bit, and this was back in 2019. Plus again, the Elder Scrolls Online is doing so well. Now, he was asked if at least the Elder Scrolls could be outsourced to another Bethesda studio. Howard suggested the resources required to create multiple projects of this scale would make it impractical. The kind of things that we're talking about are going to take a lot of people, he said. Every BGS studio will be involved in that game. Even Starfield right now, it's not really in Austin, but in Dallas and Montreal, there's staff on Starfield as well. Before we talk about the ominous statement of the Elder Scrolls Online and other less favorable games of late that Bethesda seemingly has focused its full energies on. First, what is Starfield exactly? With all the hubbub, it would seem that Starfield is at the forefront of everybody's minds, but to be honest, we don't know much about Starfield. Starfield is Bethesda's first original RPG in 25 years, and it's set in space. That is almost everything we know about this mysterious project, other than it shares the quote-unquote Bethesda DNA of other titles, and that space travel, like the 1940s air travel in a plane, is somewhat risky. But let that sink in. If that's all we know about Starfield, and fans are chomping at the bit for Elder Scrolls 6's info, and that only comes post-Starfield, it paints a pretty bleak future for the next game's release date. And that's even after Starfield's, which we don't have. So I can almost hear the question, but why? I think practically, if you look at Bethesda's recent releases, it paints a picture as to the changing culture at the company. A company once lauded for releasing consistent quality, albeit buggy, immersive single-player RPGs, to now having the vilified title unceremoniously slapped on them due to a plethora of cash grab releases. It actually pains me to say that. It seems the descent was slow, but it actually started with the now legendary horse armor. Unprecedented at the time, horse armor for Oblivion way back when was effectively one of the first microtransactions with huge backlash from the community at the time. But honestly, it was an unexpected title that marked a shift in the fiscal-facing future of Bethesda. During E3 2015, when Fallout 4 was announced, fans were stoked, myself included, that post-announcement, a free-to-play mobile game would tide us over called Fallout Shelter. It was enjoyable, it was just a little bit of trivial fun, and something that Todd Howard would later state was that he was surprised that its earnings eclipsed even that of a AAA title such as Fallout 4. And it seems Bethesda got a taste of the easy money. Soon they were focusing almost exclusively on non-standard single-player RPGs that made them famous in the first place, such as Fallout and Elder Scrolls, and more on a blended, monetized approach, leveraging the Elder Scrolls IP to make Elder Scrolls Online, though it does have a dedicated core community of fans and supposedly is getting better over the years. To many single-player loyalists, it felt hollow and missed the hallmarks of a great single-player experience. Then, of course, the more blatant cash grab of Fallout 76, which, when I first saw the announcement, I was in the crowd at Bethesda 18's showcase. And although I've always wanted to play Fallout with friends, I couldn't help but think that something was amiss. It was buggy, incomplete, and definitely floaty to play. The game's biggest grievances were not even the gameplay, but the shameless attempts by Bethesda to attach lecherous mobile-style microtransactions it had learnt through Fallout Shelter, and even going as far as the hated Fallout First subscription. Unfortunately, like many great companies of yesteryear, Bethesda had succumbed to corporate greed of money before fans and games. However, still, it holds two of some of the greatest IPs for role-playing games in its paws. So naturally, fans are still holding out, myself included, for Elder Scrolls 6, and hence why the future is beginning to look incredibly bleak. We don't know if Starfield will be peppered with unnecessary and ghoulish amounts of microtransactions, nor if the gameplay or the game concept is even any good, because we don't know anything about it. Worse yet, the light over the horizon, the Elder Scrolls 6, the fans' salvation for an immersive single-player game without microtransactions that promises to harken back to the days of Bethesda that fans know and love, it's all but a whisper, following the flat promise of some Starfield, which may as well fall on deaf ears. Now, I know many of you who have gotten this far may say, look, it's just a game, we can wait. And I get that it's just a game. Some people are happy with the multitude of special editions of Skyrim, and some people are content to just wait. But finding a series which not only stands the test of time, but also is beloved by so many is rare, to say the least. And up until recently, Bethesda titles held an unmistakable and well-earned place in fans' hearts, as I believe everyone has an entry point in the series where, expect it or not, you grow to love the worlds Bethesda have lovingly crafted and really inhabited said world for hours, months, and for some people, even years. For myself, Oblivion was truly the entry to this series, and I admit, even with the shoddy faces, clunky combat, and pretty limp main story ending, I still consider it my favorite game of all time, which I can still wander around and appreciate the denizens of Cyrodiil for days on end. And if we're going to be rigorously honest, I even personally considered studying game design because I'm sick of companies they focus on money when it's the games that matter. It's crazy to me that they could lose sight of the heart of their endeavors and make these shells of the former glory, happily it seems. I don't know, I don't have the answers, but it is all around pretty disappointing. But I could be wrong, there could be other factors that I haven't foreseen, which which making the Elder Scrolls be delayed, or it could be the most epic thing that we've ever experienced. I do, however, want to leave you on a higher note. A phenomenal community team is working on Skyblivion, porting the entire game of my favorite Elder Scrolls, Oblivion, painstakingly into Skyrim, which is huge. They're making more progress by the day. The link is in the description if you want to check out the project. Go support them on social media. I'm in awe of their work and am at least comforted by the fact I will get to re-experience Oblivion, no doubt, in a new way until Elder 6 drops on the 3rd of the 3rd, 2033. That's it for the video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay up to date with the latest Elder Scrolls videos. I'm going to be doing more news on Elder Scrolls 6, plus cover the best quests as a lore play for Skyblivion. Until then, thanks for watching, and until next time, Traveler.
What? That really pisses me off.